What are you doing?
Trying to harness the power I need to master. For the good of the hotel.
No, you're not. It looks like you're making a fucked up makeup tutorial.
I am trying to gain the power I need.
From Edge.
What? No, not Edge. People will put you in their Grinch compilations.
I don't care, for my soul is darker than Satan's anus. I have no friends or family, but I still strive forward because that is my destiny. I listen to Blood on the Dance Floor and play Shadow the Hedgehog unironically.
No!
And now that I have harnessed the power that I need, I just need to ask one question.
What? What else can you do to this godforsaken channel?
Is that really a bad thing?
What?
No, really, chicken shit. Everyone always uses Edge as sort of a negative form of criticism. But is it really? I think I'm going to go ahead and challenge the internet's views and tell people that it might not be as bad as some make it out to be.
Oh. Wait, did you just call me chicken shit?
Now it's easy to point and laugh at the emo kid writing angsty poems listening to Blood on the Dance Floor while wearing all black. To us, he's trying way too hard to appear as epic or dark, but he just comes off as silly.
Roar. That means I love you in dinosaur.
Many people would call this edgy. The internet's definition of this term, or Know Your Meme's definition, is an English slang term used to describe things, behaviors, or trends which are very provocative or avant-garde, and is often used to describe things that are dark or gothic in nature. It is commonly used as an insult on 4chan and Tumblr for someone attempting to be badass by acting emo or overly contrarian. But this definition only uses the second half of the original definition, which is at the forefront of a trend, experimental or avant-garde. Basically, to simplify, edgy is actually what starts a new trend. Someone tried something different, and it caught on as others tried to follow. Think kind of like The Simpsons when it first premiered, or when Pokemon first came to the scene, or when the Wii was released with its motion controls. But we're not here focusing on the real definition. For the sake of this video, let's focus on the internet's definition. Now, what would the internet call edgy? Well, it depends on the media being used, but here are some basics. Unnecessary swearing, overabundance of blood or guns, badass characters who are way too cool for school or trying to take something way too seriously. But here's the thing. Having all of these things would be edgy, especially if they're weirdly out of place, but is that bad? At one point, many people seem to agree that being edgy could be both a good and a bad thing, and it just depends on how it was approached. An example of bad edge would be Sega's Shadow the Hedgehog. Realistic guns being wielded by Shadow as he was cursing up a storm while shooting aliens and soldiers. This is a bad approach because this takes place in an already established universe. This universe had almost none of that prior to this game. The only exception seemed to be gun soldiers from Sonic Adventure, but that's it. Sonic was always meant to be a cool character, but not like this. A good example would be Capcom's Devil May Cry.
Not so fast.
It has a lot of the things that Shadow the Hedgehog has, but it works. It's because DMC was made to be like this. It's a series that started with this edgy nonsense, while Shadow the Hedgehog tried to force it into a family-friendly franchise to the point where it just became out of place. But while that's the reason it worked for DMC, the same can't be said for others like those edgy girls Tara and Rave telling us we're one more year closer to death in 2009.
Whatever, suit yourself, humanity.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I can't go over all the examples on how it can be done well or bad, but I will go over another good example. Infinite from Sonic Forces. Infinite does edgy right for the Sonic franchise at least. He doesn't constantly swear or have guns, he has a theme that works with the game, and best of all, most of his qualities make sense for the Sonic universe, even though I think he could have been done a lot better, but I plan to make a full video about what Infinite did right and wrong in Forces, but let's continue anyway.
Hey, Infinite! Long time no see. Did you miss me?
Why, yes, I did. I've been looking forward to finishing your annoying friends.
As for music, most would look at songs like Bring Me to Life by Evanescence and their album Fallen, released on April 22, 2003. Or perhaps Welcome to the Black Parade, released in the album of the same name by My Chemical Romance in September 12, 2006. Both of the songs in their music videos have a lot in common, from their dark atmosphere, the realistic but somewhat fictional settings, the fact that they were extremely popular in their time, and so on. I'm not much of a music guy, but I know these songs were loved during their release. But nowadays, much like songs like Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy, Fall Out Boy, Sugar We're Going Down, or Paramore's Misery Business, they're all seen as edgy memes that only emo high schoolers would listen to unironically. But it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, in the end, music is subjective, and no one should ever feel like garbage for listening to music that they like. This also goes for other genres as well. Now, there was a point in time where most people knew that edgy could be done in a right and wrong way. It was an entire era most of us were alive for. One that no one is talking about except for BuzzFeed and some clickbait websites you'd find on Facebook, and that generation is the early 2000s.
What's the use of frying when all of me is dying to start working on my PlayStation 10?
An abundance of hack and slash games like Devil May Cry in 2001, God of War in 2005, the 2004 iteration of Ninja Gaiden, Heavenly Sword in 2007, and Bayonetta in 2009. The emo scene came to be, and it was the last time the gothic subculture was decently big. Edgy bands got noticed like My Chemical Romance, Linkin Park, and Paramore. So many edgy things came out of the generation, and the best part is, it was all done right. Well, for the most part. Even some products that aren't inherently edgy in form came to be because of the nature of that generation. Like all the action shows such as Avatar, Danny Phantom, Ben 10, Static Shock, and Samurai Jack. The people behind the 2003 version of Teen Titans were told by Cartoon Network to, in quote, go as far as possible. And I think that's the best part. The 2003 iteration of Teen Titans proves that edge can be done right. How is Teen Titans edgy? Well, I already mentioned that Cartoon Network told the people behind the show to go as far as possible, resulting in scenes like Robin's insane fit after thinking that Slade was still alive, the destroyed Jump City during the Trigon arc, and the infamous Red Ink scene from the straight-to-TV movie Trouble in Tokyo. These shows had less limits to them, which is why shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Invader Zim were able to have their crooked sense of humor. That's why action shows like Samurai Jack, Avatar, and Ben 10 were able to have their twisted scenes, like the Haunted House episode in Samurai Jack, Ghost Freak's True Form, and bloodbending. Cartoons nowadays, with a few exceptions like Steven Universe and Gravity Falls, would rarely get away with this kind of stuff. But what happened? How was it that people of the early 2000s understood that edgy could be both a good and a bad thing, and now everyone sees it as an insult? Isn't it obvious? What do popular terms of the internet like edgy, cringe, satire, and others have in common? They're all terms that actually meant something at one point, but then these words became popular or trendy for one reason or another, so eventually the terms were used in the incorrect way so much that it seems like the entire definition had changed. In other words, it's our own fault this happened. In the end, edge or being edgy is not inherently a bad thing, but it easily can be. No, it's not bad having an abundance of gore. It's not bad having a cheesy, badass character. It's not bad to try and take your story seriously. It only becomes bad when you have no substance besides edge. In other words, edge is not something you should solely rely on. There should be more than that. Edge can't hold itself on its own. But having an edgy moment or character isn't all that bad, nor does it make you a bad creator. Besides, some people just like to make this kind of stuff. Some people like to see gore and badass characters. And is that really so wrong?
You okay?
No, you gave me cringe paralysis. Get the fuck out.
What? What the fuck?